Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the podcast. Today's episode, Dual Epics. We're going to take a look at Roaring Moon. We're going to take a look at two Pokemon that got both Paradox forms and Mega Evolutions. Welcome to the Deep End, our captivating discussion series where we dive into the depths of the current Pokemon news and theories. Guren had mentioned how two Pokemon got both Megas and Paradox forms. And so we're going to go ahead and take a look at them today and kind of see where similarities are, where their differences are, trying to see where Game Freak's been trying to go with some of these gimmicks, and also give our overall view of the concept as a whole. So I guess we should start with Pokemon number 1005, Roaring Moon, which is the Paradox Pokemon that you receive from Pokemon Scarlet if you pick that one up. It is a Dark Dragon type, which is an interesting combination, especially when you compare it to Mega Salamence, who is a Dragon Flying type. Now, whereas Roaring Moon would share the same ability as all of the Paradox Pokemon in Violet, Mega Salamence actually is one of the only Pokemon that received the ability called Aerialate, which is a move, which is an ability that basically turns all normal type moves into flying type moves, and they get boosted by 20%, which is really an amazing type of ability. All those type changing boosting abilities are really good, in my opinion. So, I guess we start with just the design in itself. Both of them do look like the rebel symbol for Star Wars when you think about it.
Oh, okay.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No.
Mega Salamence is the rebels.
Oh God.
And now you can't unsee it.
I can't unsee it now. I'm just imagining like a bunch of like Mega Salamences or Roaring Moons like trying to take out the Death Star.
Report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
Which is funny because we're recording this on May the 4th. So with Roaring Moon, they gave it a very organic look to it, where it's got the feathers on the tips. It's got the feathers coming off of its face. You can see the origins of the Begon with the forehead, the skull cap on there, and even the colorings on its body and tails are very synonymous with the original Mega Evolution design. But I think one of the big takeaways is that this one, unlike Mega Salamence, has arms. It doesn't look like a flying amputee.
I thought Mega Salamence's arms were like in the little gray things over there. No,
I'm not entirely sure. It's just the visual artwork always has his hands, and they look like nubs, like they vanished, like they just evolved away.
No, I get you. Yeah, that's I always just wonder. Like I thought it was just like like maybe during the evolution process, right? It got like shorter, kind of thing, like you're saying, and then it just and then I thought it just tucks it into those little gray things. So kind of like I guess it's going into its vehicle now, right? Like
got T-Rex arms.
Yeah, it's got like the T-Rex arms now.
But you could definitely see that they wanted to kind of throw back to Mega Salamence when they designed this particular Pokemon, but give it a much more ferocious, primal feel to it, which I find kind of funny, all things considering. Because when you think about it, when you look at Mega Salamence, the wings come up higher, they're very sleek, almost like a boomerang, and its head has the dual fins. Actually, the 6 fins coming off of its head. It looks much more aerodynamic. It just kind of feels weird because Mega Evolutions is something that a good majority of the Pokemon community want to see come back. They appreciated the chance to take their favorite Pokemon to the next level, so to speak. And so it's like, hey, we want Mega Evolutions. And here comes Game Freak with, well, the best we can do is Paradox Pokemon. Great. I've gone to GameStop.
That's true. I guess part of their thinking could have been something like, let's give them these Paradox, they're not going to be expecting it. You know, that we're just gonna bust out our next Legends game and it's gonna have a mega evolution back into it, you know, kind of thing. Maybe that's what they were planning this entire time. They're like, we're gonna get them hyped to think that there's a Kalos remake, but in actuality, it was gonna be a Legends game based in a city in Kalos.
Not entirely sure they have a plan sometimes, you know? They execute things and it's just like,
No,
What?
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
like, I mean, I could honestly just meme this episode through at this point. Just like the, what? We want Mega Evolutions. Here's your Paradox Pokemon. Huh? That's not what I asked for.
Exactly what you asked for.
I mean, like, you know, part of the other thing is the fact that, like, look at the stats on them, too. Like, Roaring Moon is 6 feet, whereas Mega Salamence is 5'11", so it's like, yeah, a little shorter. You know, the weight differential. Mega Salamence is at 248 pounds, and Roaring Moon's a chunky 837 pounds.
Dang.
That is a lot of weight to be flying around for not even an inch or not even a foot difference between the two. You know, and of course, if you go into the their stats, both are physical attackers, both are relatively quick, but Mega Salamence is actually much more defensively viable versus Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon's got some HP but no defense, whereas Mega Salamence has defense for days, apparently. If I had to choose between the two of these, I think, I don't know, I do like the Roaring Moon design better, but I like the ability of the Mega.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you mentioned it earlier before too, right? Like Aerialite is like the one that has that ability, right?
Pinsir's the only one that gets it. What? Yeah. Mega Pinsir.
Why the heck does that? Oh, well, I guess it does get some normal moves, I guess. I'll give it the flying.
Well,
Yeah,
Pinsir
guys.
gains the flying type when it comes to Mega Evolution. So yeah, and as far as moves that it learns,
Oh, right. You know what? I forgot about that. It actually sprouts wings in its Mega Evolution. I've never used one. Never really seen it either. 'Cause-
well, I mean that's the funny thing though, because since it doesn't learn flying moves, giving it the flying typing and then giving it Aerialate makes it really an interesting Pokemon at that point, because of the fact that you can take a normal move and it's automatically a flying move.
No, I'm down for that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it does get quite a few normal moves, which is the really cool thing. But I think definitely there's something to be said about that, about those two particular Pokemon. When you're looking at the two of them together, I mean, Mega Salamence doesn't get a type change like some of the other Megas do. It stays Dragon Flying, so it's rather unique unto itself, I guess.
You know what? Yeah, like I can definitely agree. Like, I mean, I guess it can be. I want to say it's kind of a little bit unfair because of the abilities, right? Because like the Pokemon Company was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna give all these Paradox Pokemon either Photosynthesis or Quark Drive, right? So it's like, they're all just gonna have this exact same thing. You know how we were just talking about how Mega Salamence has like the shorter front arms?
Yeah.
Roaring Moon does indeed have the longer front arms here now, I think, right?
Yeah, it looks quadrupedal.
Oh my goodness. And it's even got the whole thing where like its upper body is the one that's higher too, right? I think compared to its lower body. So it's like, oh man.
Like I said, design-wise, I really do like the Roaring Moon design over Mega Salamence. It's just, Mega Salamence always weirded me out, but I do love the ability that it has. It's such a good ability. I think any of those types of abilities were good. So it's like, I mean, there's Aerialate, there's Pixelate.
Galvanize, I think was the other one, right?
Galvanize is the one that turns all normal moves into electric and then kicks them to another 20%.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, Galvanize is a great one. Very abusive. Yeah, moving on, you know, looking at Iron Valiant and Gallade, because a lot of people keep going, well, it looks like Gardevoir. No, actually, it looks more like Gallade, because it's got that upper fin. It's got I know it's got like that half dress thing going on, but if you actually look at Gallade is supposed to look almost more like a cape.
Like a cape, yeah.
Or a long coat. And Iron Valiant looks closer to a long coat than it does a skirt, in my opinion. And then you also look at the blades that it's holding, and you look at Gallade's arms, the way they've got it posed on the official artwork, where his hands are kind of like he's in a defensive posture ready to strike with the other one. and it kind of looks the way that blade that Iron Valiant is using. I think the reason people shifted over into Gardevoir is because the hair comes up the way it same does, and it's got the little pigtails the same way it does for the other evolutions.
Oh, that's true. And I think, like, I don't know if it's a Pokedex entry or if it's like a in-game entry, like for something that you gotta find. Didn't they say something like the Iron Valiant was supposed to be an attempted creation of like making like the strongest Ralts evolution form or something? But then it kinda ended in failure, and that's why it's fairy fighting type. I thought that's what they said. I don't remember where that information was coming from. Like, it's probably in-game. I just don't remember where.
The entry on Pokemon.com says it has some similarities to a mad scientist invention covered in a paranormal magazine.
That's funny. That's funny. So that's gotta be it then, right? Like the whole, yeah. This guy was trying to create like ultimate form of the Ralt's final Evo. What was he trying to do at that point then, if that was the case? Because like fairy fighting actually sounds like a pretty nasty combination when you think about it. What was he trying to do? Because fairy psychic was already Gardevoir.
Right. Gallade.
Yeah, right? Wait, was it fairy type or was it psychic fighting?
I'm sorry, it's psychic fighting.
Yeah. So
okay,
so it's psychic fighting. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
if you think about it, this would be the amalgamation of both, because it has some characteristics of Gardevoir, but it has more characteristics pertaining to Gallade. So the fairy fighting type does kind of make sense on this one.
Unless he was trying to go for a Pokemon with a third typing. Fairy fighting psychic. Jeez.
I mean, with this one though, I mean, I do like the overall design look of both. But again, if I had to choose between one or two, I kind of do appreciate Iron Valiant. Plus, the animation for Iron Valiant in the game is pretty cool looking. I've got to admit, I did really like it when it comes out of the Pokeball.
Yeah, that's true, right? Like it puts like the two things together, right, to make the little like, was it like the lance Naginata thing that it has? I think that's also pretty cool too.
You know, and then again, similar characteristics. The height of 4'7" for Iron Valiant, 5'3" for Gallade. The weight of Iron Valiant is only 77 pounds versus Gallade's 124 pounds.
Damn, it's even lighter.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like it is. This thing is light. And then of course you've got Inner Focus for the ability of Mega Gallade versus the Quark Drive for Iron Valiant, which not really. Inner Focus is good, but I think in this case the Quark Drive works for Iron Valiant. I think it does it a lot better, personally. But the Inner Focus does make sense. You know, it does make sense for Mega Gallade. It's there. It's going to attack. It's there to
it would
fight.
make more sense the fact that since Gallade now gets sharpness, Mega Gallade should get.
Oh god,
that would be sick.
That would be actually. You know, and then of course, comparing the two, like their speed is the same, but whereas
I think
Iron
their special
Valiant's
defenses are tank. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure.
No, their special defense is actually Mega Gallade has a better special defense than it does than Iron Valiant does.
Is rash.
Yeah, but
to it, I think
Iron Valiant could be a mixed attacker.
Yeah, that's true.
Gallade is straight up physical. He's just gonna beat you with his hands.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense because his blades are on his arms compared to Iron Valiant's where it's disconnected now.
Right?
It's a weapon.
But the other thing is that the weaknesses, whereas Mega Gallade gets 3, Iron Valiant got 5, and they're common.
Oh yeah, that's true. Especially since fairy typing is running pretty rampant nowadays.
Well, I mean,
oh man,
they're both weak to fairy, and they're both weak to flying. But Mega Gallade is weak to Ghost, whereas Iron Valiant's weak to Poison, Steel, and Psychic as well.
Those.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. For some reason, I always thought Psychic was resistant to Fairy for some reason. I don't know. I guess that's just me, but... Oh, no, I guess it's Ghost in this case, right? Since it doesn't have the Ghost weakness anymore, right? As Mega... No.
Well, that's because Psychics are generally weak against Ghosts.
Oh, right. I'm forgetting my typings. Are my type matchups?
I think the unique thing of Iron Valiant versus Mega Gallade, and even Mega Gardevoir, to be honest, if we're gonna compare apples to apples, is that where you've got the split between the male and the female gender, which also makes the split for whether you're going physical or special. Iron Valiant kind of does the best of both worlds. It sacrifices the defense to bring up both special and physical attack. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, when these were created, they're trying to piece together, since the majority of other Pokemon, when there's two genders involved, have the same body structure. You know, there's only a handful of Pokemon that have two different body structures when it comes to the male and female form.
That's true.
And this is one of them, and since they chose it, they kind of went, let's see what, you know, it also kind of leans into, I don't know if you know what the Bone Wars were.
Bone Wars?
Is it?
Yep, I have no idea.
So back when they first discovered dinosaur fossils, they were putting them together, but the problem is that they didn't realize that the bones of one dinosaur were sometimes mixed with the bones of another. So allegedly, and I do have to look this up, but like the Brontosaurus never existed. The Brontosaurus that we depicted for so long turned out to be the body of one dinosaur and the head of another.
Oh my goodness.
And it wasn't until after Jurassic Park was made that this discovery was like, oh, hey, we might have oopsed. So, you know, this kind of falls into the same location. Maybe they found remnants of both Gardevoir and Gallade and just kind of assumed that they were part of the exact same species line like other Pokemon. So instead of having two different forms, they amalgamated the both of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, so this is in a sense, this is kind of like similar to the whole like fossil Pokemon that we got in Sword and Shield kind of thing, where the dinosaur parts are mixed up. Oh, okay.
That actually, those fossils are actually a direct reference to the Bone Wars, and I only know about that thanks to Loxton. No, he did a whole video on this, and viewers, you know, I encourage your viewers, if you have not seen it, by all means, go watch it. If you don't know who Loxton is, how did you find us? First of all,
actually, think about it, maybe I have watched that video.
Yeah, but Loxton does some great
a lot of theory and like deep dives and information videos. I think his most recent one at the time of recording was the Galar first partner Pokemon that and how they're related to like the UK and stuff, or like their roots in the UK and stuff.
Okay,
pretty interesting.
I haven't seen that one yet. I've been busy, but yeah, like he referenced all of that, and Gallade just kind of feels like a continuation of that referencing Iron Valiant feels like that referencing back into the back to the Bone Wars, except this would be the next step forward, where instead of just creating living fossils from oopsed bones, you are now creating an animatronic based on that idea of incorrectly using two different species, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, if I had to choose between the two, I do like the Paradox form just a smidge better. Because of the look, but in this case I do think that the ability for Iron Valiant, it's such a good ability for it, especially knowing the fact that they're futuristic. The Quark Drive does fit better, but Inner Focus isn't a bad ability either, and again it does make sense for Gallade. It's just, I think I'm leaning more heavy towards Iron Valiant over Gallade or even Gardevoir.
Yeah. I think in Mega Gardevoir's case, though, that pixelate ability was actually pretty neat, too.
Oh, so Mega Gardevoir to get pixelate?
Jeez.
But like, the only thing I can actually find that would actually fit Mega Gardevoir is just the hair. Everything else just doesn't, and the chest center where it's colored in.
Oh, yeah,
well, she's got the protrusion, but in Iron Valiant, the chest area is colored in. And for
I guess
Gallade,
a little bit of the half-dress thing going on too, but like as we mentioned earlier, like it seems more reminiscent of like the Mega Gallade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, it just feels weird that Game Freak went out of their way to create the paradox forms for two separate time periods, which I kind of understand that it might have been trying to fit the plot of time traveling.
It is.
But at the same time, you could have done that same plot point, and instead of doing paradox forms, you could have just expanded the mega evolution and the primal revision, because we kind of had that past and present thing going with those two games. With when you think about it, because
true,
when you look at Oras, you have primal Groudon and primal Kyogre, and then you have mega Rayquaza. And when you think about it, you know, primal, you would think a revision back into a much more formidable force of nature, you know, for a formidable form. Whereas the mega evolution is the next stage up.
Okay.
They could have easily taken Gen 9 and cranked out a whole new generation of mega evolutions and primal revisions and expanded on the already established canon without having to create these paradox forms. And I think it would have gone over insanely good. Notwithstanding the fact that, you know, the game in itself had a whole bunch of issues at launch. But I mean, think about it. We're traveling back through time, so we're getting primal revision. We can get a form of primal revision on a whole bunch of the same Pokemon. It could have done it for all those Pokemon. Could you imagine Mega Salamence getting a primal revision? Or
it turned out to be Roaring Moon kind of thing, or like a totally different.
No, you can still keep Roaring Moon. You still keep it as Roaring Moon, but it's a primal revision, so it would be Primal Salamence, but it looks like Roaring Moon.
That would be pretty sick.
You know, and that would give you two common Pokemon in both games. And I think the past and present thing, like, it would have gone over a lot better with that, in my opinion.
So in this case too, then we'll still be using something like items to get them to that form kind of thing, or like the evolution, like the Mega Evo Stones, or like the red or blue orb thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, there'd have to be some kind of thing. You know, primal. You could have kept it the same way, just have Pokemon with this primal energy that's coming up, or they could have easily even taken it a step further and not only done reintroduced Mega Evolutions and primal revisions, but do it in a way connected to regional variants.
Oh, okay. That would
so you get but in this case it would be a temporal variant. So you've got this more. So for example, let's take Roaring Moon, right? You've got Bagon, you've got Shelgun, you've got Salamence, and then it goes into Mega. You could have had a temporal variant where it's a primal version of Bagon, a primal version of Salamence, a primal version of a Shelgon, and then you get the full-on primal revision of Primal Salamence into that full-on primal form of Roaring Moon.
Okay.
And the same with the Ralts line. You know, but instead of having a gender diverging form, you keep it as one form, and there you would have your Iron Valiant derivative. It wouldn't have done much, like it would have just been more of a cosmetic overlay for the most part, but you know, because of that particular cosmetic overlay, it now branches to a different stream. It wouldn't have taken too much more space than they already used in the game. And you know, so during recording, we kind of kept going with the idea and progressed into a new topic. So we're actually going to break this episode into two parts. Part one is where we've compared the Pokemon who got Mega Evolutions and a Paradox form. Part two is going to be Pokemon that got a Paradox form that was in both games, and reflecting on how it could have been used as a Mega Evolution.
Because we love to go off tangents sometimes. Okay, maybe a lot more than sometimes.
It's an every episode thing. With that said, let us know down below what your thoughts are. What are your thoughts about Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant variants? Let us know down below. And also, be sure to share, like, subscribe. Tell us how we're doing. And as always, have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye-bye.